What is up, King? Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Jax, and this is my podcast, Movie Myths and Monsters. Thank you so much for joining me. Today, I'm going to go into a bit of an overview of the whole TMG situation. A lot of people responded to the last video that they had never heard of it, and I know that a lot of people in our Twitter community sort of came on board more in the 2019 era, more in relation to the DV allegations and the other lawsuit with Amber and the defamation and all that, and are not really aware of this whole other thing that went on that actually really fed into it. You will see Adam mention several times in various publications that all of the lawsuits are connected. So today I'm just going to go back and kind of give an overview of the whole TMG debacle and also kind of segue into more of the flow chart and how everything connects together. You're also going to see some things as far as allegations that are made, etc., because this lawsuit comes first. This lawsuit starts in 2017. The lawsuit against Amber doesn't start until 2019. And even the UK lawsuit doesn't start until 2018. So this comes first. And you will see that she definitely has taken the liberty of using some of the allegations that they start, some of the lies that they tell, and using them for her own. So you'll see how these things become connected. But firstly, just to recap everything, all of this little series that's now started began the other day when Adam threw out this tweet. The most important political corruption trial you've never heard of begins 1 month from today. Media previously reported on it and then stopped to keep it that way. Presidents Obama, Trump, their top advisors, and Leo DiCaprio are all called as witnesses. Not newsworthy? And there are these articles that he posted screenshots of. And if you've seen my previous video, we go through all of them more in depth. Now, since then, he also tweeted this. The true underground is the place where power flows. That's the best kept secret of our time. The presidents and prime ministers are the ones who make the underground deals and speak the true underground idiom. The corporations, the military, the banks. Don DeLillo. And of course, more screenshots from more articles. I'm not going to be going over these today because I'm going to go back and sort of fill in the blanks for anyone who doesn't understand exactly what's happening here from the very basics of it. But maybe at another point in time, we can go through more of this stuff as we go on. Okay, number one, let's just go ahead and start with the complaint. The original complaint that Johnny files, which is the lawsuit against TMG. Johnny Depp sues former business managers for $25 million. This is January 13th of 2017. Johnny Depp has sued his former business managers, alleging gross misconduct that resulted in the actor losing tens of millions of dollars. The managers have denied the allegations and responded that the suit is a fabrication and result of Depp's profligate spending. Depp made the allegations in a lawsuit filed Friday in state court in Los Angeles. He filed the complaint, which is 52 pages long, against the Mandel Company, the management group, Joel Mandel, Robert Mandel, First American Title Insurance, and 15 other unnamed defendants. The Pirates actor seeking a jury trial and asking for compensatory damages of at least $25 million. He alleged that the self-dealing by TMG was so extensive that he's been forced to sell off assets to pay for losses. So this is, the beginning of all of the horrors, all of the media shit, just all of the vile attacks that have been going on for the last 7 years. This is where it starts. TMG, of course, responds. They issue a statement calling the suit a complete fabrication. For 30 years, Joel and Rob Mandel and their company, the management group, have been trusted business managers, some of the most successful individuals and companies in the entertainment business. They go on to start this sort of smearing and saying he did all this shit to himself and all that stuff. Depp filed suit with Ed White as trustees of the Moo Investment Trust. In addition to seeking jury trial, the action also seeks temporary restraining order, permanent injunction to prevent the sale of Depp's properties. So when this happened, they had taken out this loan and used Johnny's properties up here in West Hollywood as collateral, and they were about to go into foreclosure because of this mess and not having paid back the loans that these guys took out. So that became like kind of a big piece of this thing is that they were going into foreclosure on Johnny's estates here in West Hollywood. Obviously, that didn't happen. It got fixed thanks to Ed and Adam and everyone else. Some other things to note about this lawsuit. Number one, this is where Adam enters the picture. So I mentioned this on the other day, but this is how Johnny meets Adam, is through the TMG litigation. It's also how he meets Ben Chu, and we'll see a little bit of that later. We'll see the first mention of Ben's name, but all these guys obviously that you've come to know very well over the last years. This is where all these relationships start because this came first. This litigation came first. Then all the shit with Amber happened. Just remember the Washington Post op-ed didn't even happen until the end of 2018. June of 2018 is when Johnny sues the Sun. Amber's op-ed doesn't come out until December, and he doesn't sue Amber until March 1st, which is actually today, of 2019 for that. Wow. 4 years ago today. Wild. Time flies. So all this shit, everything, all the TMG stuff, this comes first and launches into all the rest of the things that subsequently happened. This just bleeds into every aspect of what happens with Johnny and everything till now, honestly. So January is when he sues. By March of 2017, we have this article. Johnny Depp hits back over claims he squandered his money, alleges smear campaign. So TMG filed a big countersuit and started making all these allegations, basically very similar to what Amber did, where she used the legal process and legal filings to get a lot of her shit out into the press and be protected in that way because you cannot, take action against what people say in court filings. So much the same way as what Amber did with all her fucking Tales from the Crypt, these guys start this process. They make this court filing with all these allegations. This is where the very first instance of the allegation where they say Johnny used an earpiece on set comes from. These guys are the first ones to say that he's fed lines, and you know that Amber usurped that allegation and really used it to her own advantage throughout her litigation process as well. I don't know why they thought that this was such a big deal. I guess because the public doesn't understand how movies work, and so they kind of latched onto it as like, oh, everyone will think this is a big deal, but fucking whatever. I digress. So as we see here, TMG has since filed a cross complaint claiming the actor lived an ultra extravagant lifestyle that often knowingly cost Depp excess of $2 million per month to maintain, which he simply could not afford. Okay. Adam Waldman told People on Monday that Depp's former management company has since shown that they have no viable defense other than to follow through on their stated plan to attempt to smear Mr. Depp. This is March. They already know. The guys already know what's happening. Threats have been made, which we'll see in a moment, to destroy Johnny's career and smear him and talk a bunch of shit. And they have followed through in the form of this filing, this counter filing, where they begin to launch a bunch of horseshit allegations. Later on, I'll have to see if I can find this, but later on, Adam and the team managed to get like hundreds of paragraphs stricken from their complaint that are just a load of nonsense. I'm pretty sure that they basically argue there's no point to all of this other than like character assassination, and they win. They do win the point and get a whole ton of this filing thrown out, which is pretty epic. So, in a complaint filed Monday and obtained by People, Depp's legal team also alleged to have uncovered additional evidence of illegal conduct by TMG around bank loans. Just take all of this in, like, this is very basic. Like, the verbiage that is being used here is very basic, but expand it. If you watched my last video that goes into the flow chart and the 1MDB scandal and stuff, expand it to that. Evidence of illegal conduct by TMG around bank loans. They're using Johnny's money for these fraudulent investments in these hedge funds and running this whole Ponzi scheme. Why would you have to take out bank loans for an actor that's worth $650 million? According to the court documents, Depp's lawyers claim that his former business manager at TMG snuck self serving provisions into a bank loan agreement in a scheme to grab millions of dollars in payments for himself and other advisors on Mr. Depp's film residuals. Finally, Depp's lawyer told People, "Today we've shown definitively that TMG systematically failed to pay Mr. Depp's taxes on time for 16 straight years, leading to at least 8.3 million in penalties for Mr. Depp, according to the IRS and the law firm that TMG itself hired." And of course, these fools try to clap back. In response, TMG told People, Johnny's amended complaint confirms there's no there. Depp backs away from his most inflammatory claims in his original complaint, tries to fill the void by rehashing blah, blah, blah. Basically, Adam says, no, it's that the evidence supporting him has been redacted from the complaint at y'all's request. In today's filing, the only there that isn't there is the new evidence that the Mandels have gone to great lengths to temporarily seal from the public's view. So now we move forward a little bit more, move forward in time a little bit more. May of 2017, New York Post. Now we're like all out, right? Now they're starting to go all out. Johnny needs to see a shrink now for compulsive spendings on luxuries. So this is kind of interesting because in 2016, when the whole bullshit with Amber starts, she tries to say that he should go, he should be forced to go to anger management classes, and obviously that whole thing, the real original complaint winds up being dismissed with prejudice here in Los Angeles family court. But these fools, he needs to see a shrink for compulsive spending. Oh, fucking Christ. It's his money. He can do whatever the fuck he wants with it. Luxuries like 14 homes, 45 vehicles, even a chain of okay, whatever. So this is more of the smear campaign in action. In the latest legal salvo over Depp's finances, the management group also ridiculed as laughable a recent claim by a lawyer for the Pirate star that he spent $30,000 a month on wine as an investment. They just go on to like make fun of him, say that he drank all the wine. This is just character assassination. This is the beginning of this media onslaught where they start to say he's just a drunk, he doesn't know anything, blah blah blah. Johnny says to the Wall Street Journal, "It's my money if I want to buy 15,000 cotton balls a day. It's my thing," which is totally correct. But these guys try to say this is demonstrative of his clear and epic sense of entitlement. Entitlement, it's his money. Of course he's entitled to his own money. Their arguments are absurd. This is still the beginning of the smear. The more intense things come very shortly. Here's this with the sound thing. Monday's court filing exposed additional spending that includes hundreds of thousands of dollars to employ a full-time sound engineer who Depp has used for years to feed him lines during film production. Okay, this is Keenan Wyatt, who is not full-time employed. He's on a pre-approved list of people that Johnny likes to use, and we already know that he plays music and sound effects and stuff. But this is like one of the bigger lies, stories, whatever, that starts right here and has gone on, has somehow continued to float through 7 years of horseshit. Oh god. Depp also spent, $1 million on personal on-call physician. Obviously that's Kipper. Who fucking cares? And of course here comes Adam with the smack. An attorney for Depp called the allegations from TMG psychobabble. This is how guilty people respond when confronted with the detailed results of a 9-month legal and forensic investigation conducted by 4 firms. All right, let's move forward. So here we have this article from the Daily News, also in May. This is where they start with the claim that Johnny paid hush money to a bunch of people, which Amber also then took this claim and tried to run with it herself. I think in like 2019, she tried to use this one. These guys also use Amber's allegations to their benefit as well, saying that, oh yeah, they heard that Johnny had assaulted her and all these types of things. So, oh yes, people that worked there told us that Johnny definitely assaulted her. Ugh, it's fucking nonsense. So everyone, all the little the enemy of my enemy is my friend. They are all just using each other to get what they want, which is destroy this guy's life, career, everything for exposing them, exposing both parties, exposing TMG as frauds and all kinds of insanity, right? And then exposing Amber as a huge lying sack. So yeah, it's no wonder that they would all be in cahoots. The actor's former financial managers claim the Pirates star spent millions to employ an army of attorneys to bail him out of numerous legal crises, including making a series of hush money settlements. So here we have Adam's first instance of using this particular verbiage. Accused of criminal malfeasance and theft totaling tens of millions of dollars in a case with a whistleblower from the Mandel's own firm, whose testimony and documents they fight to hide, the defendants decided their only defense is psychobabble. This is how guilty people respond when confronted with the detailed results of a 9-month legal investigation and forensic audit conducted by 4 firms. Joel Mandel threatened to smear and destroy his former client. TMG clients can read his latest press spasm and learn what to look forward to. So there it is. He threatened to smear and destroy his former client. There's a little bit more on this in another article that I have here. In a recent interview with the Wall Street Journal, Depp said his eccentric spending habits weren't the issue. Okay, next. All right, so now we get to May 10th. And our first big hit piece in the Hollywood Reporter. Now, this is before Penske. Penske doesn't buy the Hollywood Reporter until 2020. However, TMG is very well connected. They have their own contacts at the Hollywood Reporter, and this is the beginning of the Hollywood Reporter becoming like a major enemy to Johnny, in my opinion. But this is just like a major TMG puff piece. It's basically akin to when Tatiana did the radioactive article. This is like that, but in favor of TMG. What happened to $650 million in explosive legal battle between one of Hollywood's best paid actors and the business managers he fired laid bare tumultuous finances, blah, blah, blah. This just sets up TMG in like just the ultimate light that they are the saviors. They're Johnny's saviors. They did everything they could to, stop his spending habits and get fucked. Just get absolutely fucked. Early one afternoon in October of 2012, Jake Bloom, by the way, sued out of existence. Johnny sued him. They settled. I think it's out there on the internet that it was 8-figure settlement. They went out of business. Bloom retired, fell off the planet. The firm completely rebranded. It's like totally, completely different thing now. All new names, all new people, just boom, gone in a flash. So that tells you everything you need to know, I think. Early one afternoon in October 2012, Jake Bloom and Joel Mandel left their respective Beverly Hills offices, slipped into their luxury cars, and embarked on the roughly 30-minute journey to the Hollywood Hills compound of their client, Johnny Depp. Bloom was a rumpled and graying lawyer whose disheveled style camouflaged an intellect exercised on behalf of such luminaries as Martin Scorsese and Sylvester Stallone. Like, fucking gag me. Mandel, then in his early 50s, was a tall, rather amiable accountant whose favored loose-fitting jeans and loose-fitting shirts, sartorial code designed to assure his clients he was just another boy in their band, as well as a top-flight business manager steeped in the arcana of arbitrage and amortization. Jesus. Like, get the gong already. It's just like how the rest of this whole article goes. Okay. These men were part of Depp's inner circle. Oh, God. So down here, they finally get to the meat of it. After the obligatory small talk, the visitors got to the point. Depp's cash flow had reached a crisis point, they declared. Even though the star had become wildly wealthy, whatever. Again, with the $2 million in monthly bills without a fire sale, Depp, arguably the biggest star in Hollywood, certainly one of the best paid, thanks to Pirates, would never be able to meet his obligations. Come on, man. So this is a whole huge, puff piece for them. We could never do anything wrong. We tried to tell him. And here's where they start with this more of the drunkenness. Depp's demons, which seemed to surface in November 2014 when he appeared inebriated while presenting at the Hollywood Film Awards. And I believe at trial, uh, it came out that he was going through the detox, the opiate detox and stuff at this time, and it was from all that medication. So, yeah. And here they use Amber's shit again. Filming ran Pirates 5 filming ran from February, span during which allegations of conflict between him and Heard spilled in the Australian tabloids. Of course, Jerry comes to his defense. Good man. Bruckheimer. Sources close to the production report tales of excessive drinking, physical fights with Heard, constant lateness on set. Just smear, 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 every sentence. So because of this article in the Hollywood Reporter, the Rolling Stone article happens. That famous, horrible Rolling Stone article. Oh, man. But I'm going to pull it up because there's actually a lot of things in there that are important to the grander story that has since unfolded. Even though Roderick, whatever his name is, presented things in not the best way. A lot of the quotes and things that are in there are valid to share. There's kind of a lot of information actually, because I read the whole thing over again this morning, thinking that I would just use it as a quick example. But while I was going through it, I realized there's a lot of stuff in here that needs to be looked at actually. So what happens is that it's talked about in the article, which is that Johnny wanted to respond to this Hollywood Reporter article, and Adam reached out to Rolling Stone to make this interview with Roderick happen. And he subsequently flies to England and meets up with Johnny and Adam in a house that is being rented while Johnny's filming and doing some vampire stuff. Unfortunately, unbeknownst to them, unbeknownst to Johnny and Adam, this is the exact point in time where Rolling Stone is being sold to Penske. I believe that Johnny was very good friends with Jan Wenner, who was the previous owner of Rolling Stone. I think that they were very good friends. And right as this interview is happening, very shortly within it happening or after, Rolling Stone is sold to Penske. And then you really start to see the impact of that. So I think this is the very first instance where we see the impact of a Penske publication. All right. The trouble with Johnny Depp. Multi-million-dollar lawsuits, a haze of booze and hash, a marriage gone very wrong, and a lifestyle he can't afford. Inside the trials of Johnny Depp. I'm going to skip over the fluff and stuff. This beginning part with he's looking for Johnny and wine, hash, tobacco, whatever, sort of the setup. Obviously, if you guys want to read this, you can go find it. I'm going to go through the parts that are relevant. Okay. It is estimated that Depp has made $650 million on films that netted $3.6 billion. Almost all of it is gone. He's suing the management group run by his longtime business manager Joel Mandel and his brother Robert for negligence, breach of fiduciary duty, and fraud. The suit cites, among other things, that under TMG's watch, Depp's sister Christy was given $7 million, Nathan Holmes $750,000 without his knowledge, and that he has paid the IRS more than $5.6 million in late fees. Most of the ire is directed towards Joel, who had day-to-day responsibility for Depp's account. And of course, we all know that Joel is the one who came and testified for Amber in Virginia. There are additional charges of conflict of interest saying that TMG invested Depp's money for its own purposes and returned it without profit. This is one of those things, like, you can read through this so quickly that it just doesn't even make a blip on your radar, but this goes to the whole hedge fund Ponzi scheme, money laundering, all of that. Additional charges of conflict of interest saying that TMG invested Depp's money for its own purposes and returned it without profit. These are those loans and shit. They would take his money, then take the loans, put the money back in his account. Looks like he still has the money, but he doesn't actually. That's how all these things work. This is what Madoff went to jail for. The suit seeks more than 25 million from TMG, accounting for tens of millions it claims TMG illegally took for its commission, plus any additional damages the court sees fit. The Mandels categorically deny all wrongdoing and are countersuing, alleging that Depp breaches oral contract with the company. The suit suggests that Depp has a 2 million a month compulsory spending disorder. Oh god. All right. According to TMG's countersuit, because TMG had filed a private foreclosure notice on Depp's properties, claiming that he owes them 4.2 million in unpaid loans. Here's the repeating of the smears, right? Couldn't remember his lines, split from his lawyer and agent, was alone, tabloid scarred divorce. So here's this part about Adam contacting Rolling Stone. It was Adam who first contacted Rolling Stone about writing a story about the injustice being done to Depp's reputation and bottom line. He pointed to what he perceived to be an anti-Depp story in The Hollywood Reporter, where the Mandels were cast as eminently reasonable men who repeatedly tried to warn Depp about his precarious financial positioning. Nobody from TMG was quoted, but Waldman was convinced its fingerprints were all over the story. Waldman joined the game in October of 2016, having been told by a client that Depp needed help. TMG had just slapped a foreclosure notice on his LA homes for failure to make the payments on a $5 million loan from the company. So we go down here a little bit more. The two warring sides, which is Johnny versus TMG, met a few days after the filing in a conference room for a settlement meeting at the law offices of Manat, Phelps, and Phillips, the law firm that employed Ben Chu. So there's the first mention of Ben. This is where Johnny and Ben first meet. One of Depp's litigators. Wellman was on the phone from Europe. Chu was on video conference from Washington. The facts are there. You can read them. Waldman recalls saying, via speakerphone from Munich, you're welcome to respond to them. Mandel then lost it, according to two people in the meeting. You've cost me tens of millions of dollars, said Mandel. Now it's my turn. I'm going to destroy Johnny. They'll know everything. Both Mandel and his attorney, Michael Kump, adamantly dispute that he ever said anything like that, of course. If you look through, there are some pieces of Johnny's deposition at some point in time, one of the depositions that he did, where he also alludes to this for some reason. I don't remember exactly what deposition or why the question was asked, but that these guys promised to destroy him and smear him and all that stuff, which of course came to be. Asked what he thought about all the legal shenanigans, Depp shrugs, I'm just a small part of this. Now think of everything else. It's like I said the other day, he's the smallest fish in this big pond when you look at that flowchart and everything else with everyone who's involved in this 1MDB scandal, all the money laundering, the Malaysian nonsense. Yeah, he is the smallest part for sure. All right, so now we get down here to the bottom where there's another little important tidbit. The attention of Depp's suit has shined an unwelcome spotlight on TMG, which has always kept a low profile. The Wall Street Journal reported in August that both the SEC and the IRS were in the preliminary stage of investigating the Mandels on alleged money laundering and fraud. I love how this is just thrown in here. Mandel legal team is convinced Waldman called the agencies. Waldman denies the claim. Whether these federal investigations will amount to anything is unknown. Nothing has emerged so far, but there was no doubt whom the Mandels blamed for their troubles. Johnny Depp, TMG's lawyers, released a statement. In 30 years of business, no current or former client of TMG has raised any issue other than Johnny, who continues to spread malicious, unfounded lies about the company. TMG will vigorously defend and defeat all of Depp's fabricated claims. All right, that's all we need from there. So let's go to here. Johnny Depp's former business managers face federal probes. IRS, Justice Department, and SEC look into management group. This is August 2017. Let's zoom in. Federal investigators from 3 agencies are probing a top Hollywood business management firm facing fraud allegations from a former client, according to people familiar with the situation. The IRS and Justice Department are jointly looking into possible fraud and money laundering by the management group founded by the brothers, Joel and Rob. The Securities and Exchange Commission is separately investigating how the management group handled Mr. Depp's funds, according to people familiar with the matter. Depp sued the brothers in January, seeking more than $25 million. The IRS and Justice Department probe, which is in its early stages, being led by the IRS's Criminal Investigation Division and is currently focused on elements of the Mandels' dealings with Mr. Depp, according to people familiar with the matter. Mr. Depp's lawyers have met with government officials. The people said the probe may not result in any charges against the management group or its owners. Federal investigators typically look at the possibility of money laundering as they trace the path of funds that allegedly have been misappropriated, said the people familiar with the situation. And Depp said in an April interview with Wall Street Journal that it was the Mandel's negligence and fraud, not his spending, that caused him to lose tens of millions over more than a decade. There is a blurb somewhere that I haven't been able to find yet. I wasn't able to find it while I was looking for the information to make this video because it's just such a very short quote. And I'm not, if I even knew what publication it was in, I could probably find it, but there is just the smallest little thing that Adam says to somebody at some point in time. A quote in one of these publications where he says that TMG's offices were raided by the feds. And it's just one sentence. He just says that their offices were raided by the feds, which just goes to, all of this stuff that we've been talking about. So there's several other articles about them being investigated by the feds, agencies looking into them, but all of them sort of refer to the Wall Street Journal article that we just went through. Of course, the IRS and SEC declined to comment, as did the Justice Department. And it just sort of, all of it just rehashes the claims from both sides, but one more from NBC here, facing federal probes for fraud. So that is sort of the overview of that whole part of the mess. Now, if you take all of that in and once again expand it to what Adam is talking about now with the upcoming trial with the member of the Fugees and everything that I put in the video the other day, we will go back to my favorite flowchart. And this should start to come together even more clearly, I hope. I will also go to this other thread of tweets because I did go over this in my live yesterday. But I just want to make sure that it makes it into this video. And once again, these names should start to look more familiar. So starting from where we were the other day, who owns Rolling Stone, Deadline, Variety, scumbags. But Jay Penske, Saudi Arabia, who did the deals with Penske. I already went through some of these in the original video from the other day. This is one of the quotes from the Rolling Stone article. From whom did TMG's 30-year client Ari Emanuel claim to have gotten $400 million for William Morris Endeavor and the Saudis? The U.S. claims the 1MDB money was laundered through shell companies with bank accounts in the U.S. and abroad. The money was used to invest in assets in the U.S. and overseas, according to the Justice Department. Case to be heard in Pasadena. Billions of dollars in stolen 1MDB money was laundered into all sorts of things in America. Was any of it laundered into Hollywood movies? Yes. We already know Wolf of Wall Street. There's also Dumb and Dumber 2 and something else, but I came across a couple of other ones, but of course Wolf of Wall Street will be the most famous. Joy McFarlane, Riza Aziz, and Joe Lowe connected, and their company Red Granite Pictures sued for racketeering and settled the case. Who were their criminal lawyers? Here we go. Matthew Schwartz comes up at Boyce Schiller. It's where Boyce Schiller comes into the picture. We'll go back to, I wish I could share more than one screen at once. Boyce Schiller, Matthew Schwartz, goes up to Red Granite Pictures and the stepson, coming all the way over to the PM once again. And the 1MDB scandal around to Goldman Sachs. Over here on the right is TMG with the direct connects to all these things. Okay, who are the former Malaysian Prime Minister's American criminal lawyers? Boyce Schiller as well, defense lawyer for and friend of Harvey Weinstein. Schwartz Ashcroft also named. Correct. Schwartz as Boyce Schiller. Last question. The rest is up to you. Who was TMG's criminal defense lawyer? And here is Kinsella, Weissman, Iser Kump, and Aldisert LLP. All right. So all the pieces start to fall. And so obviously Adam would be interested in this case that's going to trial next month. Obviously the TMG case settled. So there's probably a chance to see, more evidence and more things come to light about various people's involvement and the depth of this scandal, although I am cautious about how much information we're going to actually get because these are federal charges. This is going to be a federal trial, so it won't be live streamed or available to watch in any way. So we'll have to depend on, unfortunately, the media, which doesn't have a great track record, obviously. But I hope that this video clears some more things up for you guys. As always, I will link all the articles that I used below. I hope that this streamlines the order of events if you were unfamiliar with this case and how everything worked out here and the sort of stepping stones along the way that get us to where we are now. So thank you very much, everyone. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and all that good stuff. I hope you enjoyed it. As always, leave a comment. Any questions, concerns, etc. I will try to get to them. But I hope that this clears up anything that may have been unclear for you. Thank you very much. Appreciate you all. And I will see you in the next one.